Have you ever wondered how a minor dispute can escalate into a full-blown conflict? The Israel-Hamas conflict is a classic example. This conflict, steeped in decades of political and territorial disputes, recently took a severe turn. It all began with the launching of incendiary balloons from the Palestinian enclave, a move that provoked an immediate response from Israel. Israeli aircraft targeted Hamas sites in Gaza, setting off a chain reaction of escalating violence. As tensions rose, Palestinian groups seemingly endorsed by Hamas resumed protests at the Israel-Gaza border, pushing for the easing of restrictions on Gaza. Israel countered with what they called riot dispersal means, leading to injuries of several Palestinians. The situation escalated further when the Israeli airstrikes targeted a Hamas weapons manufacturing complex and a tunnel. Despite the resumption of Qatari aid to Gaza, the violence didn't simmer down. Instead, it escalated with militants firing rockets into Israel and the release of more incendiary balloons. Israel in turn maintains a strict blockade on Gaza, further restricting movement in and out of the territory. This cycle of action and reaction, attack and retaliation has led to an increasingly volatile situation. But what happens to the innocent civilians caught in the crossfire of such conflicts? Amid the escalating tension between Israel and Hamas, a humanitarian crisis is unfolding. Civilians, the most vulnerable, are finding themselves ensnared in the conflict. Images circulating on social media reveal Palestinian civilians detained by Israeli military, their affiliations to militant groups uncertain, their futures uncertain. Life in Gaza has become a maze of restrictions and blockades. Movement in and out of the territory is tightly controlled, transforming the enclave into an open-air prison. Amid this, the delivery of aid, a lifeline for many, is fraught with issues. Promises of aid trucks passing through the Kerem Shalom border crossing offer a glimmer of hope, but the gap between intent and results is a chasm that needs to be bridged. The world watches, and it acts. The United Nations, the United States, they're making efforts to address these issues. The U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken acknowledges the incremental progress from Israel in protecting civilians and allowing aid into Gaza. But he also recognizes the disparity between intentions and outcomes. Promises are made, yet the reality on the ground tells a different story, and amidst it all are the civilians, the individuals who once lived ordinary lives, now embroiled in extraordinary circumstances. Their homes destroyed, their lives upended, their futures uncertain. They bear the brunt of the conflict, their plight a testament to the high cost of war. The civilians, the most vulnerable victims, are paying the heaviest price. Is there an end in sight for this long-standing conflict? This question has been asked time and again, and with the recent escalation between Israel and Hamas, the search for peace has become more important than ever. In the midst of the turmoil, Egypt's intelligence chief, Abbas Kamel, visited Gaza. This marked the first visit by an Egyptian intelligence chief to the region since the early 2000s. The purpose? To bolster the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel and discuss reconstruction plans. These discussions were far from one-sided. Hamas officials took the opportunity to urge Cairo to pressure Israel into halting its assaults in Jerusalem and Sheikh Jarrah. But the talks were not all about demands. They also focused on cementing the calm that had been achieved and on rebuilding Gaza after the recent hostilities. Kamel's visit is seen as an effort by Egypt to regain a more vital role in mediating between Israel and Hamas, and to breathe new life into the peace process. And it's not just words that Egypt is offering. The country has pledged $500 million for the rebuilding of devastated areas in Gaza. Beyond these discussions, the international community is also pushing for change. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has noted incremental progress from Israel in protecting civilians and allowing aid into Gaza. However, he acknowledges there is a gap between intent and results. While these are positive steps, the peace process is fragile and the road to a lasting resolution is long and fraught with challenges. Yet, the search for peace continues, for it is only through peace that we can hope to see an end to this cycle of conflict. How does the world react to such conflicts? We've seen a flurry of reactions from all corners of the globe. The world stage has been set ablaze with protests, as people march on the streets waving banners, chanting slogans, and demanding an end to the violence. But the outcry isn't just on the ground, it's online too. Social media platforms have been flooded with posts, tweets, and stories, as people from different walks of life share their perspectives, express their solidarity, and call for peace. And then there's the diplomatic front. The conflict has sent ripples through the international community, straining relations and sparking debates in the corridors of power. Nations are being forced to reassess their ties, juggle their alliances, and navigate the tricky waters of geopolitics. Yet amid all this noise, there's a common thread, a shared sense of urgency, a collective plea for peace. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about politics or territory, it's about people, their lives, their hopes, their dreams. The world watches and waits, hoping for an end to the violence and a peaceful resolution.